Every spring, it happens again. You drive to the garden center. You spend real money. You choose the most beautiful plants on the shelf, fill your containers with care, and put real time into making everything look right. And by November, every single one of them is dead. So the following spring, you do it all over again. Same spend, same work, same result. That cycle is not an accident. It is extremely good business for the garden center. For you, it is just expensive. And here is the thing most gardeners never find out. It is completely avoidable. There are perennials, genuinely tough, genuinely beautiful perennials that overwinter in containers, return stronger every spring, and multiply into free plants while you are doing absolutely nothing. You plant them once. They pay you back for decades. Today, I am giving you 10 of them. But before we get into the list, welcome to PlantEdge. This channel is built on one principle: science-backed gardening content that respects your time, your budget, and your intelligence. No filler, no fluff, just what actually works and why. If you are new here, subscribe right now and drop your USDA hardiness zone or your country in the comments. I read every single one, and it shapes what this channel covers every week. Let's get into it. Plant 1, Hellebore. We are starting here because this plant does something none of the other 9 on this list can do. It blooms in January, in February, in March, right through frost, right through snow, during the darkest, coldest, most plant-bare weeks of the year when every other container on your porch looks empty and abandoned and you are months away from anything else showing color. Hardy in zones 4 through 9. Ice N Roses Red produces deep burgundy flowers blooming December through March. Wedding Party has pure white double flowers carrying from January through April. Penny's Pink delivers soft pink with darker veining, one of the most refined Hellebore cultivars currently in the American market. Here is what makes this plant genuinely different from everything else. A well-grown Hellebore in a container flowers reliably for 20 years or more. The plant you put in this season is a planting decision that will still be performing 2 decades from now. No other container plant on this list comes close to that kind of long-term return. Plant it where you walk past on winter mornings. That is when its value is most powerful and most impossible to replace. Plant 2, Agapanthus. This is the statement plant, the one that makes visitors stop mid-sentence and ask what it is every single time. Tall, architectural stems topped with spectacular globe-shaped clusters of tubular flowers in brilliant blue, violet, and white. In a large container, the visual presence is genuinely structural, the kind of impact you usually pay a landscape designer to achieve. Hardy in zones 7 through 11 in the ground. In zones 5 and 6, grow it in a container you can move against a protected south-facing wall before hard freeze arrives. Here is the counterintuitive fact that most gardening content never mentions. Agapanthus actually prefers to be pot-bound. Restricted roots trigger more flower production. In the ground, the plant spreads freely and flowers less for it. In a container, those naturally crowded roots work entirely in your favor, producing more blooms every successive year. Do not repot it until flowering declines. A tight pot is not a stress condition for this plant. It is the condition you are actively managing for. Before plant 3, if you are getting value from this, subscribe to PlantEdge right now. Not at the end, right now. This channel publishes science-based, zone-specific content every single week, built around helping you spend less and grow more. Hit subscribe and hit the bell. It takes 5 seconds. Plant 3, Echinacea Coneflower. Native plant. Documented medicinal history going back centuries. Blooms June through September. Ranked by the National Wildlife Federation among the top 5 bird-supporting native plants in America. And once established in a container, essentially indestructible. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Magnus produces larger flower heads than the straight species. the most recognized cultivar in modern horticulture. Hot paprika delivers double orange red blooms, the most visually dramatic variety currently available. Here is the detail most gardeners overlook. Leave the seed head standing through fall and winter. Goldfinches and chickadees will work them from October through February. Your container becomes a functioning wildlife feeding station at zero ongoing cost. Every 3 to 4 years, divide the clump. One plant becomes 8 to 10. At $12 to $15 per plant at any nursery, that is $96 to $150 worth of free plants from one morning with a garden fork. You plant it once, and it funds itself indefinitely. Plant 4, Carex Ornamental Sedge. Professional landscape designers who charge hundreds of dollars an hour reach for Carex constantly. The reason is straightforward. It solves the problem that defeats every other container plant. It looks deliberately composed and intentional every single day of the year, including January, when everything around it has gone dormant and brown. Carex is hardy in zones 5 through 9, depending on variety. Evergold produces vivid gold and green arching foliage that glows in shade. Bronze buckeye carries deep amber tones that intensify as temperatures drop in fall. Ice dance has clean white-edged green foliage that brightens any dark container planting. It does not go dormant. It does not die back. It does not need replacing. It grows quietly and steadily, becoming fuller and more refined every season. Divide every 2 to 3 years in early spring. Each division is a free plant. That is the entire maintenance requirement for a plant that earns its space in your containers 365 days a year. Plant 5, Astilbe. Feathery plumes of red, pink, white, and deep purple rising above finely cut, fern-like foliage. In a large container, it carries the presence of a woodland garden feature you can move anywhere on the property. And here is the counterintuitive fact most gardeners never hear. Astilbe actually performs better in a container than in the ground. In the ground, it is entirely dependent on whatever moisture the surrounding soil holds. A dry summer means stressed, underperforming Astilbe. In a container, you control exactly what it receives. Bigger plumes, longer bloom period, cleaner foliage all season. The container is not a compromise for this plant. It is an upgrade. Hardy in zones 3 through 8. Bridal veil for pure white. Fennel for deep crimson above dark bronze foliage. Sprite for compact shell pink. One of the most decorated Astilbe varieties in modern horticulture. Divide every 3 to 4 years in early spring, before shoots emerge. Every division is a complete, blooming plant. At $12 to $18 per plant at current nursery prices, you should never need to buy Astilbe twice. If this is the kind of content you want more of, hit the like button right now and subscribe to PlantEdge if you have not already. Every like tells the algorithm this is worth putting in front of gardeners who are spending $200 every spring on plants they're going to throw away next April. One tap on like. One tap on subscribe. That is all it takes. Plant 6, Catmint Nepeta. 6 months of lavender blue bloom. Deer repelled before they even reach the container. The aromatic foliage works at the approach stage, before contact even happens. Pollinators working it constantly from first flower to last, and it returns every spring fuller and more floriferous than the season before. Nepeta X Fossinae, Walker's Low, is hardy in zones 4 through 8, one of the most forgiving and adaptable container perennials available right now. After the first bloom flush, cut it back by half. 3 weeks later, it returns with a complete second wave of flowers that carries through late summer. 2 full bloom seasons, 1 plant, 1 year, 0 additional cost. Now compare that directly to petunias, the most commonly purchased container plant in America. Petunias require deadheading every few days, weekly fertilizing, and complete replacement every single year. Catmint needs 1 cut per season, no fertilizer, and comes back stronger every spring for years on end. The only reason Catmint is not in every container in America is that garden centers make significantly more money selling you petunias. That is the straightforward answer. Plant 7. Coreopsis. This plant blooms from early summer straight through to the first frost, not in seasonal flushes, not in alternating cycles, continuously, week after week, with barely a pause between them. And it does that in poor soil, in drought, in summer heat, in containers that other plants would have abandoned by July. Coreopsis is hardy in zones 3 through 9. Moonbeam produces soft lemon-yellow flowers on mounding, compact foliage that stays tidy in containers all season. Zagreb is deeper golden yellow with threadleaf foliage that catches low light beautifully. Both are proven performers across the full range of American growing zones. Here is the management reality. Deadheading Coreopsis, even just running your fingers through the plant twice a week, doubles the number of flowers it produces over a season. That is the entire strategy for one of the most continuously blooming perennials in container gardening. 2 minutes per week, maximum color from June to October. Plant 8. Heuchera. More foliage color variation than most flowering plants, and that color is present from the moment the plant breaks dormancy in spring until hard frost in fall. You are not waiting for a bloom window. You have color in your containers from day one. Hardy in zones 4 through 9. Palace purple produces deep burgundy leaves that red almost black in certain light. Lime Ricky is electric chartreuse that illuminates shaded corners the way nothing else can. Caramel shifts through warm amber and orange tones across the season. It looks genuinely different in May than it does in September. In zones 7 through 9, Heuchera stays evergreen. 12 months of container color from one plant that never needs replacing. At current nursery prices, one Heuchera that lives for a decade costs you roughly $1.20 per year. Every annual you buy instead costs you $12 per year, every single year. That arithmetic is not complicated. Plant 9. Lavender. This plant evolved on rocky Mediterranean hillsides with almost no available soil nutrition and near zero moisture retention. The conditions most gardeners think will harm it are the conditions it was designed for. Hardy in zones 5 through 8 for English lavender. Hidcote is the most cold-hardy variety, reliable through zone 5 winters. For the South and Gulf Coast, Phenomenal handles heat and humidity across zones 6 through 9 better than any other lavender on the market. Here is the counterintuitive fact that kills more lavender than any pest or disease. Moisture-retaining potting mix is lavender's primary killer. Before you plant, mix your standard potting soil with 1/3 coarse perlite. This is not optional. It is the single most important thing you can do for this plant in a container. And never fertilize it, not once, not all season. The essential oil concentration responsible for both the fragrance and the natural pollinator attraction actually increases when the plant is slightly nutrient-stressed. Neglect is not just acceptable with lavender. It is the correct horticultural technique. After the first bloom flush, cut back by 1/3, always into green growth, never into woody stems. It returns fuller and more fragrant every time. Plant 10. Hosta. We are closing with this one because if you have a shaded porch, a dim north-facing doorstep, or a corner that has defeated every plant you have ever tried, Hosta is the answer that ends that problem permanently. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. That is one of the broadest cold tolerance ranges of any shade perennial in cultivation. Architectural leaves in blue-green, gold, cream-edged, and boldly variegated forms that do something almost nothing else in your garden does. They get more impressive every single year. Here is what most channels never tell you about growing Hosta in containers. The container removes the two things that kill hostas in the ground. waterlogged soil, slug access. You control the drainage. You control the moisture. The result is a cleaner, healthier, more dramatic plant than you will ever produce in the ground in that same shaded spot. Every 3 to 4 years, divide the clump. One hosta becomes 3 to 5 plants. At $15 to $20 per plant at any quality nursery, one established container hosta produces $45 to $100 worth of free plants from a single morning with a sharp spade. You plant it once, it funds itself for the rest of its life. Here is the truth behind every plant on this list. The annual approach, buying, planting, losing, replacing, starting over, is not gardening. It is a subscription service to your local garden center. These 10 perennials cancel that subscription permanently. You plant them once, they come back, they multiply, they get better every single season for decades. That is what PlantEdge is built around, giving you the scientific understanding to make permanent, intelligent decisions in your garden instead of expensive, temporary ones. If you are not subscribed yet, do it right now and hit the bell so you do not miss what comes next. Before you go, drop 2 things in the comments: your USDA zone or your country, and which of these 10 you are adding to your containers this season. I read every single comment. Your answers shape the next video directly. Now go build something permanent.